Well, hey, everybody, welcome to another CCA in Action podcast episode. I'm your host, Mark DeFee, and today I'm actually your storyteller as well. If you don't know me, I'm a licensed clinician as well as 20-year EAP professional. In the first 10 years of my career, I was on the clinical operations side, doing crisis intervention and stabilization, as well as consulting with companies on behavioral risk issues impacting their workplace. And although I didn't do this work for CCA, the stories that I have and that I share are the same type of cases that our clinicians here are taking every single day. They're on these calls right now. And these are calls and cases that really no other vendor partner can help. And so EAPs must be able to step up in these moments of crisis for companies and for individuals. And the case I'm going to share today actually highlights the coordination that needs to happen between these EAP consultants to make sure that everyone is staying safe. And so this case, I actually wasn't talking to the employee. I had a coworker, another clinician, who was talking to a suicidal employee who was walking around his house with a knife in his hand, contemplating taking his own life. And so this clinician IMs me, we're chatting and she says, "Hey, I need you to call local emergency services because we have a suicidal member here. I'm concerned for their safety. We need to get emergency services out there immediately." So she gives me the name of the city and state and zip code. I call local dispatch, basically 911 dispatch, explain to them what's going on, and then they connect with police officers and paramedics who are driving onto the scene. And so now we have this game of kind of telephone going where we have a clinician speaking with the member. The clinician is IMing me. I'm telling dispatch what the clinician is telling me, and dispatch is telling the people on the ground, actually at the house, what the individual is saying. And so it was this fascinating coordination of helping this clinician stay focused to support this member on the phone who was in a moment of crisis, while also coordinating with law enforcement who were basically outside the door. And they didn't want to harm this individual, but they needed to make sure that they were going to be safe. And so they were telling me, "Hey, make sure that he's a little bit further back into the house. We don't want him right at the front door. We're going to come in," because it had been, I don't know, probably 20, 25 minutes that we were trying to convince this individual to put the knife down, to seek help. He reached out to us for a reason. Let us, continue helping him. We were having all those type of discussions. And then they weren't going anywhere, and local law enforcement decided that they needed to move faster, I guess. And so they decided they were going to breach the front door and go in and disarm this individual. And again, my place was to be IMing this clinician saying, "Hey, they're about to break down that front door, and you need to prep this member that that's about to happen, and you need to get him in the back of the house so he's not startled or freaks out and does something that he's going to regret." And so she convinced him, because he was kind of doing circles in his house, convinced him to stop in the kitchen, which was in the back of the house, convinced him to put the knife down for a few minutes and just talk to her. And that's when she explained to him, "Law enforcement is outside your door. They're going to come in and they're going to check on you. Is your front door unlocked? Okay, it is. Great. I have a colleague here who's talking to them. He's going to let them know that they can open your front door and come in and speak with you and get you additional assistance." And so it turned out, it was a positive ending where he agreed to go in the ambulance to be assessed at a local hospital. But this coordination was so intricate, but it allowed everyone to stay safe. And that was the most important thing. And it was this surreal experience of not really being in that conversation with the employee in crisis, but relaying information to dispatch, who would give it to the officers on the scene, who would give feedback to dispatch, who would give it to me, who would give it to the clinician, all while she's talking to this individual and trying to keep him calm and at a kind of a lower acuity. And these are the type of cases that go on all the time that you don't think about. And if your EAP doesn't have strong clinicians and strong coordination among the clinical team, it might not, like I said earlier, turn out the way that you would like or that we would all like. So when you are looking at your EAPs, make sure you're asking those questions. Who are your consultants doing these management consultations? What are their levels of trainings? How do they coordinate with each other? Is it just one person on call in the middle of the night, or is it a whole team still able to do this? Because these calls don't just come in during business hours. So thank you for listening today. Our whole goal with these episodes is to not only share a story, but help you understand the unique services that can only be available through EAP. Next month, we'll have more guests with us. I just wanted to really share this story because it had been on my mind recently. So until we speak again, everybody, take care and be well.